Good afternoon, good morning, because I know that people joined this session from everywhere, from Europe, but also from America, South America, Brazil. So good morning to you guys in South America. Session today is about service operation in theory and practice. To explain a bit more about what is service operations, and but also to explain from with the customer case how we did an implementation around service operations. So that's the topic for today. My name is Floris Verschoor. I'm with the Cloud People, of course, and responsible for our service operations offering, an offering that has been validated through the Build with Service Now program. And with me is Jeroen Lammers, also responsible for the service operations offering. But in this case, for this session, he will be the one who will run you through the customer case and explain, what is a specific way, how can you start, how can you run a service operation journey. We will explain the specific implementation methodology that we have. And I think the presentation will last for, let's say, 35, 40 minutes with enough time for everyone to ask questions. So the agenda is a little bit more about the Cloud People. Who are we? What are the focus areas, region for the Cloud People? How big are we? Etc. etc. So introduction of the Cloud People, introduction of service operations and a specific methodology that we have called the building blocks for service operations. And then what I just said, the customer case presented by Jeroen, and discuss and wrap up. Pretty straightforward agenda, I would say. Again, if there are questions along the way, please use the chat box to your right to ask those questions, and we will make sure that we will answer them as quickly as possible. Maybe some questions will be answered at the end of the presentation. Some we will definitely pick up during the presentation. Short introduction of the Cloud People. Cloud People headquartered in Oslo, Norway, and currently 350 certified ServiceNow consultants. And of course, having so many consultants means that we can cover basically all the areas of the ServiceNow platform. But we definitely focus as a company on service operations. Service operations is one of the main focus areas, not the only one, of course, but one of the main focus areas for the Cloud People. 350 customers globally. And that, of course, represented here. I just mentioned the US, mentioned Brazil. People signed up from those areas. That is also where we have our own offices and consultants to help out with any ServiceNow related project. Of course, the main focus, having the headquarter in the Nordics, in Europe, that is where most of the Cloud People resources reside. Not only that, we built that partnership with ServiceNow at a lot of different levels, as elite partner, as a service implementation partner, etc., authorization training partner. And I just mentioned, I don't think that's in this slide. I just mentioned because we just picked up the validations, the validation of the service operations offering from the Build with ServiceNow program, and we're extremely proud of that. So, service operations. What is service operations? And what is the unique offering that we have to bring? Well, service operations is the combination of ITSM Pro, ITSM, and ITOM. So it's ITSM and ITOM. The combination is service operations, and it will come together in something called the service operation workspace. But it's very important to mention that service operation is not a product itself. And it's important to mention that because we are all working with ServiceNow as a platform, which is a product, but service operations really is a journey. It's a an offering. It's an implementation where a lot of different capabilities of the ServiceNow platform will come together. For ITSM, that is very much focused on automating your ITSM processes and using the ITSM Pro capabilities of the platform. And ITOM, of course, is very much related to creating a healthy CMDB, using all the tools out there like discovery, like event management, and what have you. But very important, also CSDM. Make sure you use the CSDM methodology to define your IT services, which in the end should create a healthy CMDB. So service operations combination, ITSM, ITOM will come together from a product perspective in something called the service operations workspace. So, why is service operation important for you as a customer? Well, service operation, the easy answer there is that service operations will help you to have your core processes being more available than it is today. Your core processes, and you see some examples in this slide, core processes for a bank is your bank application. For health, in a healthcare environment, it's the patient's application that needs to be up and running always. There are a lot of different core processes. Service operation will help you to raise that availability of your core processes. And sometimes, if your availability of a core process is already at 99.5%, adding something like service operations to your core process, and it raises it from 99.5 to 99.7 is huge. That 0.2% more availability for your core process is huge, and that is where, in the end, that's basically the end goal of a service operation organization. I'm pretty sure that you will recognize it for your own organization. If you think about, what is the core process for us? Are we building something? Are we a bank or whatever industry you are? Think about your core process, and service operation will help you to raise that availability. That's service operations. This slide kind of explains what I just said. Yeah, it needs to work. There's no way that your core process could be in jeopardy. No way. So if your bank application is not working, you're losing a lot of money. And I think that's, again, pretty straightforward. What's less straightforward is how to get and how to become a service operations organization. And that is where the unique implementation methodology from the cloud people steps in. we call it the building blocks for service operations, and these slides represent that. So you see on the ITSM side, you see some components in there that you will probably recognize. It's service ITSM, it's about ITSM Pro. So the capabilities within ITSM Pro are, for example, performance analytics, right? You need your analytics to look at your processes, to monitor your processes and make sure that you start improving your processes. And performance analytics will visualize that, of course, in your dashboards, but also about virtual agents. And how can I use virtual agents to either speed up my process, or to provide virtual agent, the chatbot functionality, of course, to provide that to your end users, to make sure that you also speed up the process in that sense. So there are a lot of predictive intelligence is in there as an ITSM Pro capability. Predictive intelligence will also automate something in the background using artificial intelligence. And I'm pretty sure that you read about all the other new capabilities that will come with the Vancouver release around the ChatGPT capabilities. So the generative AI capabilities that will come with the Vancouver release. So there are a lot of components in the ITSM Pro, a lot of components in ITOM about event management, discovery, CSDM. But the building block approach says that, we understand that if you start a service operation journey, that your starting point could be anywhere. Your starting point could be somewhere around the capabilities I just mentioned around ITSM Pro, could be somewhere around ITOM, could be about creating an initial healthy CMDB. Could be both. You can start, simultaneously. But those are the building blocks. And we have out-of-the-box implementations for all those different building blocks. Every building blocks will give you a lot of value, right? But those building blocks should, in the end, come together in a service operations organization. It should come together in that service operation workspace where the agent have visibility, have access to both data from your incident management, your ITSM processes, but at the same time have access to information coming from ITOM, knowing exactly where the issue resides. That comes from ITOM, that comes from the CSDM IT service definition, right? Those things should come together. And it's our job as the cloud people to make sure that those building blocks will come together, and we will guide you in that process. That's a unique approach, because there's no way that you can start a service operation or do a service operation implementation in one big bang. That's too much. So you have to figure out what are my building blocks and how in the end will that come together. So that's the building block approach for service operations. This is theory. So this is about, okay, what is service operations and what is in theory the methodology that we have. But that methodology, and now I hand it over to Jeroen, that methodology is something that we have done, of course, in doing implementation with customers. And Jeroen will explain in much more detail, what the building blocks has been for this customer and how that will come together for a service operations plan. Jeroen.
Yes, thanks, Floris. Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening in. Indeed, as Floris already mentioned, we work together on the offering, on the building block approach, and I'm also involved, in getting that into practice. Hence, I will, talk to you through basically, a customer case in this regard. First of all, we're really close on getting the name of the customer already, also on this case. So once it is done, we will absolutely share that with you. But let me stick to the facts that I can use at the moment. We're talking about a global manufacturing company, which is headquartered in the Netherlands, with about 35,000 employees and a presence in 30 countries. It's a technology-based firm that is in the microchip area. So when talking about this journey, of course, there needs to be an end goal, and Floris was already pointing to that, of course, a few slides back, with regards to the uptime of your core services. With this customer, the service operations journey is part of a larger, let's say, digital transformation program, which is all about the customer wanting to establish a service-oriented culture. And that basically says that everybody in your company has always the customer mindset. So that has some cultural implications, as you can imagine, where you need to prepare your organization for. So when applying that a little bit more to the operational side, obviously the service operations the service operations story comes into play. You're just talking about this customer being in the microchip area of business. Their primary purpose is to have their, let's say, chip production facilities to reduce outage there, to prevent outages there, so that those facilities are always active and producing. So that's from an operational perspective, and also, of course, to keep their customers satisfied or even raise that satisfaction. That's an important goal of this customer. So I will zoom into that a little bit more, of course, in the coming slides, because the customer really understands. Okay, this is the journey we want to undertake, but there will be some bears on the way, as we say it here in the Netherlands, and we know what we need to work on, and we would like to do that together with you. So I want to guide you a little bit through the story, and we're still working with this customer on getting this done, and we made some excellent progress over the last couple of months, or actually during the last year. It's quite a significant organization, so it always depends on success and efficiency always depends a little bit on that. So how complex is the organization you're going to work with? So this is not a blueprint that would apply on any of you joining today. It's just an example of how we took care of this in a complex environment as represented by this customer. So just let me start a little bit on top of this slide. As Floris mentioned, we're proud to have a great relationship with the ServiceNow teams throughout the different countries. Actually, the reason why we came to talk to this customer was also due to that relationship and to the collaboration we have with ServiceNow. A while back, we were able to present this building block approach to a specified group of customers that were brought up by ServiceNow, and out of that session, came this manufacturing company that I will talk you through about today, because they said, well, we find this an interesting approach, and this is indeed a journey that we want to undertake. So we would like to talk to you guys about this, but first of all, show us what you got. Show us what you can do. And so the landing that we kind of had within this customer is that they say, okay, we give you 4 weeks time to prove yourself to us. So we want to make sure that you can deliver, and you talk to us about building blocks and adding value on shorter terms for, let's say, larger and smaller programs that are part of this journey. So let's put the proof is in the pudding. So show us. So the customer asked us from an ITSM perspective, to say, we have this from a let's say process optimization perspective. We are lacking insights in managing the performance of our MSP, who has quite some impact on the efficiency of our processes. And we're talking about their ServiceNow MSP. So can you help us to provide us with a valuable dashboard that we can use for monthly evaluation and that we can use for identifying opportunities for improvement, that we can discuss obviously with our partner and see how we can efficiently make those improvements after we have identified them. So that's a question we got from an ITSM perspective. And from an ITOM perspective, they say, hey, the service operations, and a key element is let's say a high quality CMDB. And as most of the companies out there, we're facing some challenges there, especially when making the let's say the transition to the cloud. So we are looking for a dashboard that could serve a little bit of a monitoring starting point, and we call it the CMDB Health Improvement Dashboard. So can you, along different important axes as completeness and compliance, can you help us with delivering such a dashboard on a short term after talking to our stakeholders and gaining the requirements? So there's kind of the initial questions that we got, and the cool part is that we were able to deliver in a couple of weeks. I have some screenshots also for you, also to share with you after this meeting, and where we kind of present these kind of deliverables. Because we were able to do that, we have that experience. We have a library of dashboards based on previous experience that we can utilize for these kind of requests. The cool thing is that during this journey, these kind of deliverables are basically continuously deliver value, because once you get these kind of dashboards established within the organization, and you get the stakeholders committed, the organizations are going to use it, and they say, hey, can we tweak this and can we add that, and can we let's say continuously add more value to those kind of dashboards. So with that small foundation that we started with, have now grown into very mature dashboards that are using that are being used throughout the organization by many stakeholders. So after I think the customer was convinced about what we could offer, we kind of entered the next phase, which was an extremely important phase, because there the customer sat down with us and said, okay, let's shape this journey together, because we know what our end goal is, but we don't know exactly how to get there. How can we execute in getting there? And they were interested in that building block approach because you can start parallel tracks. So it's not that getting to a let's say a service operations workspace takes 98 steps in a specific order. You can do stuff in parallel, but you really have to think about it. So you have to define the roadmap together with, or basically the blueprint together with the customer. But the blueprint needs to be agile because the world is changing, and customer worlds are also changing. And so you need to be agile in that regard. So what we started with is kind of identifying the setting of the customer, which is okay. So how satisfied are you with your current processes? What are you running into in terms of your CMDB? Where are your challenges? Are you in your assets? Are you in control of, let's say, the on-premise assets? What is the visibility of your cloud assets CIs? Probably familiar challenges that you also face, but extremely important to understand basically at the starting point how mature the customer is in those let's say different regards. Also, there are, let's say, sub challenges that can influence the way we handle this kind of project. So in this case, this customer had let's say compliance challenges because they, from a financial perspective, they had an audit and they were not really compliant with the level that they should be. And that compliance was, those compliance challenges were kind of influencing changes in the process. So they had to make changes to the process to be compliant, which of course has an influence on our ITSM approach. So the picture kind of displays, let's say, the three key areas we have been active in with this customer, covering ITSM and ITOM, because those are the two domains that you want to bring together in the service operations journey. But also, let's say, side effects and other streams that influence the success of the project, and we need to take into account. So therefore, it's really important as a starting point to build that blueprint and get a sense of, okay, so what's the situation that you're actually in. So that's how we started. And if I now relate it a little bit back to that building block approach, I mean, there are all kinds of different areas that you can focus on once you have kind of set up that blueprint for the customer, because you then know, okay, we can start with this, we can start with that. So let's focus, let's see what we can do. So from an ITSM perspective, for example, the customer is very clear on, hey, we want to establish unified reporting. So let's focus on, we created these additional dashboards. Let's focus on adoption of those dashboards to work towards that unified reporting mindset. And let's enhance the dashboards and make sure more people get in, and make sure that we kind of get rid of all the Excel sheets that the people are working with to be able to get to their performance reports where they are acting on. And so provide workshops, get people in, and make sure they're going to use it. From an ITSM perspective, that was a logical start after we finalized that first deliverable. Also, we were looking at automation. So to what extent, and that's why the ITSM Pro capabilities are important in this journey, because automation is so important in this journey. So to what extent are you using automation? So we performed a automation assessment based on their data, based on which we could identify, are you using predictive intelligence? To what extent are you utilizing your self-service portal? Or can you maybe enhance that? Hey, we see that for this and this and this request, you still make use a lot, of from email submitting, or by having your service that's making calls. So how can we optimize that? Those kind of matters. So we did an automation assessment and provided a report where we said, okay, we can do. We can implement a virtual agent to help resolve you here and make you more efficient with the self-service portal there. And so that's another track basically that you can start, and you can really scope it. So you don't want to and especially also from, let's say, a commercial perspective, you don't want to go to a customer and say, yeah, we can do it for you. It will take 1.5 years and it will cost you 3 million. And that won't work. There are so many stakeholders involved. To be able to do this, you need to cut it down in pieces and make sure you have the strategic overview and that you can provide value in every step of the way. And whether that's a smaller step in terms of adopting a dashboard, or implementing a specific piece of automation, or it's a larger part of the program, such as a CSDM play, which is of course has more stakeholders involved, but there's more budget involved. You need to scope it and you need to describe the value you're going to deliver. So to make that sidestep straight away a little bit, I mean, at the same time, while we were working at those, ITSM, let's say, performance management improvements, and on better automating their environment, we started working on the ITOM part, and the customer was in a position that we could start, let's say, we could initiate to set a CSDM foundation for their 5 key business applications. So we started working on, getting obviously stakeholders committed and involved there, and explain to them what the value is of that kind of foundation, and why it makes it easier once you have that established to, in next phases, basically onboard additional application service offerings, right? So it's a track that you can do in parallel for this customer. Then moving to that third track here in the overview. As I said, I mean, we need to be agile. This customer was dealing with compliance issues, and that can kind of shake things up, as probably most of you are aware. And then suddenly new requirements come up. Hey, we need to make heavy modifications to our change process, because we need to add 3 new types of approvals all along in the process. Obviously, influencing lead times, influencing the way that people need to work. So that's stuff that situation of the customer, we need to take it into account, and we need to also take it into account when working on automation and working on performance management. So that's basically how these different streams come together. Just to drive away a little bit from this slide, I will get back to it in a second. Let's zoom in a little bit on those deliverables that I just mentioned. So that first dashboard that we built with regards to measuring their MSP performance, we were able to do that in a couple of months. They were able to discuss the performance within 4 weeks' time, and now over time they've been using this dashboard to identify all these different, let's say, opportunities to move forward, to be more efficient, and also really manage their MSP on where they should deliver and where they should improve. And these are, maybe for your organization, this is a great, let's say, starting point as well. Maybe not. That's something that we need to identify. But this is just to outline that we can come up with this kind of deliverables on a pretty short term, and actually in a way that the customer can use it. And that's one of the advantages of also during this project with the customer, to build this library with materials and with deliverables that we can also utilize for other customers and for other journeys, and making the project more cost efficient and quicker. So another example, from let's say a small kind of a small implementation with huge impact. I was just telling you that this customer is facing some issues with compliance, and they need to redesign their processes in order to accommodate to that. So that means more approvals. More approvals means higher lead times. So at a certain moment, the customer was talking to us, and we just did this assessment of their let's say the efficiency of the processes, and we encountered, wow, okay, your lead times have increased greatly because of this approvals. And then they say, well, we get a lot. And the approvers said, well, we have a lot of approvals to do every day. So what we do is at 10 o'clock we start our computer, or we get to our approval requests, and then we just go through the entire list during that hour or half hour, and then one day later we do it again. So then we said, okay, but they are using Microsoft Teams as their, let's say, corporate chat agent. So then we said, okay, but let's try to help you there. Let's try to see if we can use the ITSM Pro capabilities, in this regard, the virtual agent, to actually push a specific set, let's say the high priority approvals. Let's push those to the approvers who are just working behind their desk and are being reached out by the virtual agent saying, hey, okay, we have specified a specific set of approvals that I, the virtual agent, need to push to you. So here's an approval request with this and this description, and then in the interface you get the context of the approval request, and as an approver you can straight away say, yes, I would like to approve, or no, I'm not going to approve, or okay, I click on a link to get a little bit more context directly into the ServiceNow record. So that was, I think we implemented in 10 days or in 5 days, and it led to a situation in where these high priority approval requests that are, let's say, kind of under the radar, are being pushed to the approvers, who can approve straight away, significantly reducing those lead times, and of course also leading to higher satisfaction by the people, of course influenced by that. So again, this is a small piece of work with great impact, and really shows, okay, so how can we, it doesn't need to be complex all the time. You can use a smart set of automation, very easy to accommodate this, and get this working within an organization, leading to more happy faces. So the CMDB Health Improvement Dashboard, I was just referring to it already. It's still being utilized. I mean, we are now some months down the road, and we've been working on the ITOM part significantly, and especially on their cloud challenges that I already touched base on, in terms of visibility, and in terms of event management, and everything around that ITOM space. Anyway, so this monitoring system for them is elementary, also in their daily operation, also to determine, okay, where are we going to focus on next? What are the challenges we face daily? How can we get those under control? And again, you can start by creating a foundation in just a couple of week time, get the stakeholders involved, make sure they use it, and then kind of enhance that dashboard, make it useful for other people to kind of use in their daily space, and have it deliver value at that using that approach. So CSTM it's kind of a let's say an element that already is obviously connects ITSM with ITOM, and this is a larger, let's say, one of the larger programs in a service operations journey, because it involves so many stakeholders. For your business applications, for your service offerings, I mean, you need to be able to to get people enthusiastic, to get people understand the value of CSDM. And that's a challenge, and there, and that's why we emphasize in the story also on, it's important to get on that same page with the customer right from the get-go, so that that you have their support, that they are willing to drive a stakeholder commitment, because sometimes it's not always that easy. So it's not always possible for us to get the commitment from all the different stakeholders involved here, that you need to be able to, let's say, set this foundation for governance here, and for ownership, and for understanding the value of what CSDM brings once you have this established, and how easy it will be, or more easy it will be, to onboard service offerings and cloud applications and finance implications the moment that you set the foundation for those kind of specific applications. So let me get back to this picture. So what I try to make clear to you is that, when starting this journey, you can do so much things in relatively short term once you scope it right. When I look at the results we achieved now, we have made significant steps in working towards a let's say unified reporting performance management dashboard within this customer. ServiceNow has been moved toward really, let's say, a centralized application. They got rid of a lot of BI applications and, let's say, Excel sheet management. So on that phase, we made quite some achievements. We have been able to help them redesign their processes while working at improving efficiency with automation at the same time. We have been helping them with improving the quality of their CMDB, having monitoring in place, really to be able to identify issues, identify opportunities for improvement, and act upon that. So we are getting to the point, actually, also with CSDM now getting into place, where we now in a phase where we start to onboard service offerings, to really bring ITSM and ITOM together towards this, let's say, initial version of a service operations workspace, where obviously both ITSM and ITOM are working in, having all the information in place that you need to be able to act swiftly. And of course, and that's what we are working on now, to work towards, okay, how can we predict outages from happening? Do we have all the information available for that? How can we better implement automation capabilities to be able to do that prediction, and kind of lay that out to the different teams? So we're now actually, let's say, ready for the next steps there. Also from a process optimization perspective. Process optimization is actually now called process mining. Process mining is a ServiceNow technology that really allows you to do a deep dive into let's say analyzing your processes. Having now established that, and made more efficient the foundation and the different processes involved, we're now up to a point that we can actually implement that kind of technology. Yeah. So, and that will lead us to more ways of making this, these customer processes more efficient. So there are some steps to go working towards this service operations workspace. But we're getting there. We are showing value to the customer. The reason that they are willing to cooperate in having this reference case in place is because we are driving value towards these different stakeholders as a validation. So we're getting there, and hopefully in this presentation, the way we approach matters and maybe the different topics we touched base upon, you recognize some challenges, and maybe you see some, let's say some starting points for your organizations you would like to work on. And as said, I mean, if we are going to do a automation assessment for a customer, we're not going to bring up, hey, our end goal is to do a service operations program with you, one step at a time. Hey, I mean, if a customer has a mindset already that, okay, we really want to do this journey, please help us with that. Of course, we can do it. But this is also to show that not only, we can bring all that capabilities and all that knowledge on these different domains together to do a service operations journey, but also to lay out to you, if you have a specific ITSM challenge or a specific ITOM challenge, we can help you with that separately as well, and bring you towards let's say a higher maturity level on a maybe a little bit of a smaller scale. This kind of was the message I wanted to convey. And of course, very open to any questions you might have, and hopefully it's a little bit recognizable what I laid out to you. Floris.
Yeah, thanks, Jeroen. As always, great presentation and explanation of the customer case. Hopefully, everyone agrees with me. It's an interesting play offering service operations, but extremely important, and pretty sure that most of you are somewhere in that journey. And again, it's our job to make sure that all those different components will come together for a real service operations play.